Well, here we are. A little hoarse, a little under the weather. I apologize for any throat clears you may hear, any sniffles you may hear, any bodily noises you may hear. I apologize in advance. This also serves as an audio test. To me, the audio is excelente. We'll get started here in a minute. If you want me to look at anything, let me know. Looking good today on price. Things moving up. Alt's doing really well on some BTC strength, some DXY weakness. Love to see that. Would love to see DXY definitively rolling over. That's best case for the crypto coins. That's right, GOSP. They are solving cancer. They are curing all human diseases. Technology is improving by the minute here. Quiet Place. Quiet Place is RM Domainer. Just the usual. Just the usual. Bioprotocol. Bioprotocol. What is that? Is this a trap because of M2? The funny thing about the macro side of things is, people see something and they'll get obsessed with it. Like, oh my God, the CMBS, what is it? Delinquencies are up to an all-time high or whatever. They're like, there could be 10,000 different macro things that might not look good. And sometimes it just doesn't matter, right? Look at 2023, look at 2024. It really hasn't mattered. It really didn't matter. It doesn't mean that it won't matter ever. It's just how do you navigate what you think those things matter, right? Some people just get too obsessed with valuations are too high, they can't keep going, or this doesn't make sense, so it has to be bearish. M2, because of DXY, got seriously wrecked. Liquidity got seriously wrecked. That does mean it's generally harder to go up historically. It doesn't mean it can't go up. It doesn't mean we can't do well. Let me just move this over here. So we're going to do an hour on the old stream or until I lose my voice. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Thanks, Lord Hamon. If you're on X, Twitter, let me know. I can read that chat as well. Those of you on either platform cannot read each other's comments, but I can. Altcoin cares my ED. Very good mic. Worked in your settings. Gotcha, RM. Yeah, no, in OBS, there was a setting for volume that it resets if you adjust any other setting. And so that's what I had messed up on. FXI SPX 2024. I think this year is going to be a stock pickers market. I don't think many people are expecting the S&P to have another 25% year. Maybe we can start with legacy, I guess. I was looking through a bunch of deep in the dumps charts like STLA. Where's my SPX? So across the board, there is a lot of not like trend bearish stuff, but a lot of potentially bearish reversal stuff. I got to be careful what I say because I'm going to get clipped. They're going to clip it and ship it, chat, and they're going to just light me up on Twitter. I brought this up. I forgot to mention. So I did a poll yesterday on BTC. Which comes first, 80 or 125? Most people, 45%, voted 125. Generally, we go in the opposite of sentiment. So we'll see. We'll see. But that's the level. If we measure this consolidation higher, that's where we go. 125. There is someone's asking me about yearly pivots. There is a yearly pivot up there at 122 on Kraken. Depending on which exchange or which index you're using, it's going to be slightly different than that. But 125 is the decent level. Like the S&P, like we're not out of the ballpark on this pattern yet. The question is always, you can be bearish or bullish, but do you want to stay bearish or bullish? That's the question. Like, again, I see this. Everybody's telling me, not everybody, but the reply guys are always like, oh, you know, head and shoulders, that never worked. Those never work out, blah, 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 blah. Okay, you can say that. That's fine. But my lived experience tells me that when I see this stuff, I have to be a little cautious because that does lean bearish. We're at a weird time seasonally. We're at a weird time with the presidential rollover. There's a lot of like unknowns on the macro side. If we pull up this list of stuff, I don't have great answers for a lot of these bullet points here. Again, not that any of it matters. Maybe it doesn't matter at all. Maybe dollar strength doesn't matter. It hasn't really mattered. If dollar strength mattered, we'd already be sub 90. It hasn't really mattered. Maybe it does matter. It's just that the regulatory and regime change side matters a lot more. Maybe that's the case. Maybe that's why alts have picked up a little bit. I don't know, right? Maybe this idea that we're going to see all of these crypto ETFs and IPOs and all this other stuff, maybe that's more important. That's taking dominance over any issues with liquidity or dollar strength. Or that's taking dominance over any of my uncertainty here about rates or anything else, right? But I look at this in a vacuum, and yes, this is still possibly a multi-shouldered head and shoulders, whatever. This gets negated above 100. That hasn't changed. Talked about that. What was it? Last week? Whatever days it was. I don't even know what days it is anymore. Last week and yesterday. So that's really what you're watching for. If you're bullish here, you want us above 100. That's it. If you're bearish here, you want us below 93. Now, if we really all want to get taken to the cleaner, then we push to like 101 and then die anyway, you know? Like, is this just people front running the inauguration? I don't know. But this idea is still definitely on the table because you can see the edge to edge is there as well, right? Like this is telling you what the head and shoulders is telling you, in that if we lose 92, a move to 80 looks real to me. So I just want to make sure I'm on the right side of that. That's all. So if you don't care about moving to 80, which most people shouldn't, honestly, I don't think it's going to be end of cycle. I don't think it's going to be beginning of a new bear trend. I don't think any of that stuff. But if you're trying to manage this from like week to week, quarter to quarter, whatever, that's a decent move to be on the right side of. The other reason I don't think this is the end of the cycle if we go that low is because the 20-week moving average is down there. So ultimately, we're bullish as long as we're above the 20-week moving average. That's like the high time frame litmus test. The lower time frame litmus test is the daily cloud. So far so good on all that stuff. What's up, AL, Delivio, everybody else? We're all here. We're all back for 2025. I'm the new fade. That's right. I'm the new counter indicator. I'm not allowed to be remotely bearish. I'm not allowed to hold any cash. What I'm only allowed to do is be 2,000% long at all times, deep down the alt table, deep into CoinMarketCap. But it goes back to this. Like, you can be different levels of bullish. You can be in cash. You can be neutral. BTC is already 3x NASDAQ, which is whatever of the S&P. So the further we go out on this like beta side, we are just eating volatility. Volatility, so good. Love volatility. That's okay. There are times where volatility pays off, right? There are times when you want volatility. But this goes back to conviction and certainty and confidence. If you have high confidence, like post-Trump winning, that's a high confidence event. That's a great time for liquidity, great time for beta. It's just right now, is it a great time? I think it's a little bit iffy. And then if we add time horizon on top of that, and we can say, okay, like, yeah, we can be bullish in the day. Alts are up, just looking at another screen here. ADA is up 13%, Doge 12%. Some rumor that Elon's going to take Doge on X. ICP 14, ETH 4, Sol 6, whatever, right? Like on any given day, things can be great. That's welcome to volatility. We can be +8, -10. But if you're not trading it as a day trader, if you're trading this as like higher time frame, swing trading, like I do, which is not everybody, and I understand that, but I talk about what I do, so that's why we talk about it. But anyway, if you like miners here, we'll talk about it. I don't know, man. Maybe, coin, maybe, mstr and all that other stuff. I don't know, maybe. Right? I just don't have, my system does not say, hey, look, this looks like a great setup, a great trade here right now. And then if you go farther out on that, it's just like, options on MSTX, right? Is now a great time for that? I guess if you're trading in like day to day, I don't know, right? That's just not me, so I don't ever talk about that stuff. Anyway, back to the S&P. Just like BTC, we're not out of the water here on S&P. Now, this doesn't need to break down. It's just, is this going to be bullish? Is this going to lead to bullish continuation is the question. For the S&P, the negation on the bearishness possibility is higher. It's above 6K. But if we get back to 6K, 60, 50, we're probably in a much better spot. What's up, Justin? Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year. Live in 25. What a great time to be alive. So it's, like to be bullish today, bearish tomorrow, bullish the next day, whatever. All of that is part of just looking at this and saying, okay, what does today look like? Well, today we survived. We survived 5,800 on the S&P. Okay, great. But the downside risk is still there. I'm trying to find the arrow. Downside risk on the S&P is 56. Okay, so that remains for like the rest of Q1. If for whatever reason markets get angry, that's the direction that the S&P wants to go. It's perfectly possible that BTC just doesn't care. BTC didn't care yesterday. BTC was like, whatever. S&P was negative on the day. BTC was +3, So that's possible that it just doesn't matter. But again, it's like, how many things are we saying that just don't matter, right? Dollar doesn't matter. S&P doesn't matter. Like, at some point, this stuff matters. It's just, how do you navigate that? That's all. That's a funny question, Dean. I don't know how to answer that. But he may be AI. We'll have to investigate. Maybe your daughter's AI. So S&P I don't really love here. Still looks wishy-washy. Q's survived at the key June for now on the daily. I just don't see a great setup here. I don't like how any of this stuff looks. That's all. That's it. Zwarlin, yeah. Everything I do is basically originating from Chaos Trader, for sure. Including Williams Fractals. I don't think he ever talked about edge-to-edge trades. That's more of a Rob Booker idea. Like this idea of the S&P moving through the cloud, or this idea of BTC moving through the cloud. I don't recall him ever talking about that type of stuff, but I could be wrong. I think his reference to this would be flat Kumo equals magnet. So if we just bottom out of here on the cloud for the next however many days, then that's just high mean reversion probability likelihood at that point. It means you lost momentum and you found a mean reversion level on a high time frame. So look, if the S&P can not roll over, great. If the Qs can chop around, great. Qs basically flat since July. Not too much going on since July on the Qs. And the real issue here is the 10-year yield, which nobody wants seeing any higher than it already is. This represents the risk-free rate in a way, and the higher this goes, it's just harder for risk to do well. It's competing against this. So if this goes to 5, if this goes to 6, it's just very hard for risk assets to do well. The higher this goes, the likelihood of the DXY being higher as well. So all of it is just liquidity negative, risk negative at the end of the day. Thank you, Builder. Another thing Chaos Trader doesn't do is he doesn't double the settings of anything, which is fine. Again, that's personal preference. I would even double RSI, honestly. Double everything. That's again back to Rob Booker. What is he doing these days? I don't see his name ever gets thrown out there. I don't know if he's a real trader or not, or just like a analyst. But man, his cloud stuff a decade ago when I learned about it, it's super useful. It's everything I talk about. Another one of his ideas was to just slow everything down by doubling all the settings. So basically what you're doing is you're looking at 2x the time frame. You know, you're looking at the 28-day rolling RSI here versus the 14-day if you're on the daily time frame. Anyway, so the yield on the 10-year looks bullish to me. DXY still looks bullish to me. Would love to see this stuff roll over. We do not want to see this going any higher. This probably won't matter until it does, right? So it's like, okay, right? We've basically been correlated to the DXY, which makes no sense, other than going back to this point about regulatory and SEC, CFTC, whatever, right? We're getting all of these very, very pro crypto people coming into the administration, and that seems to be outweighing any negative correlations we should have with the dollar, with liquidity, at least for now. But we certainly don't want the dollar causing problems elsewhere, just running out of control. So the weaker the dollar, the better for everything on the crypto side. It's also interesting, we didn't stream yesterday. I didn't stream yesterday, and stream today, and we're up today. So I think it's a Thursday thing. I really think it's a Thursday thing. Thoughts on reverse repo? Didn't that come all the way down? So one thing about RRP, you got to understand, end of the quarter, end of the quarter, end of the year, that will typically spike, and you can look at all of these periods, end of the year, end of the quarter. It's called window dressing. It's where the banks or whoever like to look good for their regulators. And RRP did spike, and now it's coming back down. So money going into the RRP is liquidity negative. Money coming out of the reverse repo is liquidity positive. That's why people like Mike Wilson were just completely off sides in 2023 and 2024. They were just bearish, bearish, bearish. Meanwhile, we're getting all this liquidity through the RRP. Sorry. Anyway, so yes, it's almost zeroed out. It's draining again. So this is liquidity positive, at least temporarily. There's also the TGA. How do I pull that up? What is that under? I forget. The Treasury General account. Here's the full equation. So you've got all these things, right? You've got liquidity, you've got debt ceiling, you've got Mike Johnson can't even get confirmed as the speaker right now. This is a representation of U.S. liquidity, like a U.S. liquidity index. Includes the Fed balance sheet, includes the TGA, Treasury General account, includes reverse repo. This doesn't look bullish. It doesn't look like this is going to help us out anytime soon. Now, this goes back to this sheet, right? Are we going to see QT, or are we going to see QT ending, and are we going to see moving to QE? Are there going to be liquidity problems? I don't know, right? Maybe people are front running that, and they're just expecting problems to happen. They're expecting somebody to bail out somebody and they're expecting liquidity to turn north. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. Glib, I didn't get a new mic, but I did just crank the OBS volume, which was super low. Yeah, Elizabeth, full port Filecoin, just full port. But liquidity has not helped us out here at all, really. Like, liquidity's been flat. Just looking at this equation outside of reverse repo, if you were just following this, you'd say, okay, liquidity is actually down pretty significantly in 2024, but that hasn't really mattered for anything. And that's the problem with macro. How much of this is actionable versus just kind of noise, right? So that's the big legacy things that I'm looking at. I guess you could look at VIX. VIX is generally a mess and nonsensical to me, so I just ignore it most of the time. Move, which is a VIX of the bond market. We also don't want spiking. That's liquidity negative. We want the move index coming down. So that does look like it's in a downtrend. So that's good. If we pull up the bond market real quick, man, whoever's sitting in TLT, I feel sorry for, but you know, if you're bullish yields, that means TLT price down. Just looking at this in a vacuum, trend is down. This is a failed bullish reversal on TLT. So it's just tough because at some point when the 10-year goes to 5+, if that happens, legacy and risk markets are not going to be happy with that at all. The rest of the bond market just looks flat to me. IEF looks bearish. That's 7 to 10 year. Ag flat. Shy is lower time frame. That's pretty much flat here. I don't see anything. Maybe falling wedges on this stuff, on everything. Maybe Trump comes in, yields just get crushed, dollar gets crushed. These all play out as falling wedges, and they get super bullish. Maybe. I don't know. I don't see it right now, personally. So we don't want, like, the bedrock of the entire financial ecosystem to have crazy volatility. We can stomach some perturbations every now and then, but we don't want large moves here because that creates issues for liquidity and risk markets. Unless you're just so bearish, you're bullish, and you're like, who cares? TLT is going to zero, Bitcoin's going to infinity. I mean, that's like the long-term viewpoint. That's not the today, this month, this year viewpoint. So bonds look like a mess to me. I don't really see any reason to sit on the long end at all. Where do we want to go? We can do crypto first. Please review the fundamental financials for Filecoin. Why is it just because it's called Filecoin? Is that why it's sort of bubbled up into the zeitgeist and into the consciousness of everybody? I don't get it. Like, I was hearing about Filecoin everywhere, late night TV shows. My own mom is asking me about Filecoin. Like, everybody. It's just weird. It's bizarre. Mike McGloin was bearish BTC. I want to say he was bearish in November, but I could be wrong. He's been bearish BTC for a while. I don't know. Sometimes he's offsides bigly. Sometimes he's not. I just don't know why you'd be bullish TLT here, unless you're super convinced Doge is Department of Government Efficiency is going to really cut the debt significantly. Anyway, BTC, we look good. 100's the level. That's really it. Lower time frame on alts, pretty much you're looking at the same thing here, in that some sort of Adam and Eve type structure is playing out. For BTC, it's a little different. BTC, as a chart, you had Sailor in here buying, right? You had a bunch of miners buying. You had a bunch of companies buying. You have potentially nation states buying. I don't know. That's possible. So the chart's going to look very strange up here because we do have a lot, or did have a lot, of on-chain selling from OGs. And the baton is being passed, right? The retail early adopters held this stuff for a decade. And now it's being picked up by somebody else. And that's fine. That's part of the game. But as long as we have more buyers coming in, we'll be okay. One more alternative to think about for early Q1 would be like this, just completely wreck everybody. Get an inverted head and shoulders here into Trump inauguration or something, and then breakout of 100K. I don't know. Lots of chop here, obviously. Lots of chop. The longer we can stay above the daily cloud, the better. The longer we can hold above 94, the better. 92 is quicksand, so we do not want to be down there. Certainly. ETH has done okay. I like ETH BTC a lot better than ETH directly. It's pulled up quite a bit. Low time frames again, you can see that Adam and Eve at 3,500 or whatever this nonsense monstrosity was, pulling up. I'm trying to remember what I said in the alt video yesterday. For most of these, I think I said something to the effect of some of these are trying to bottom, some of these look messier than others. Meme coins, I said yesterday, did not look good. They're up 12% today. Okay, it is what it is. I still don't think they look great. Anything can do great on a day. It's like, if your system isn't trade the range, I'm not going to trade the range. But if you're trading the range, then you're loving it, right? Where does this go in the near term? Maybe 37, 38. I think ultimately everything relies on BTC above 100 or holding 100. If that can happen, alts can do very, very well. So that's really all there is to watch. If you are some degree of bullish BTC, then you're probably playing alts a little bit heavier. That's kind of it, because all the charts kind of look like this. ETH-BTC, to me, is like the chart of the quarter, the chart of the next 2 quarters. For now, it looks like it's held this thing, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. We'll call it an inverted head and shoulders because that's what it would most resemble. So that's ETH-BTC, right? I don't know. Like, this is all I've been watching for 6 months. That's all I can see. If this breaks 034, then I would be out. I would be stopped out. Until then, I think this has a good chance to keep going. I'm trying to think of what would be bearish for ETH. I guess if staking doesn't happen or in-kind, we don't even need in-kind creates redeems, but staking helps, I guess. I don't think it needs that to do well, but it should help. This chart looks great to me. It's one of the better looking BTC charts for sure. Ripple, I was talking about this yesterday. It's still holding this plus 500% move, better than most things. I don't know what you do with it here necessarily. If this breaks up, you're talking about 350 plus. Maybe you just say this was a like falling wedge maybe, and it's breaking up. That's okay. Not bearish. Certainly. It's still above the daily cloud. I just don't know what you do with it after it's moved this much, but if you can rationalize it and say, it's consolidated, it's gave a bunch back, it's held its level for a month. What else is there to do but just hold it? Not something I'd actively trade here personally, but sure, I don't hate that idea. Ripple BTC looks the same to me. Kind of a triangle breakout attempt. Sol could be pulling up a lot because of ETF speculation. That's certainly picked up, that I've noticed on my timeline. The cloud doesn't love it here on the daily. 4 hour, it has broken out of the 4 hour, so that looks good. ADA was another one I talked about yesterday. That was just breaking out of its 4 hour cloud. So if you're trading this on lower time frames, you're probably doing very well. if you're trading this on high time frames like me, you're probably a bit confused. Some of this stuff did break down. Some of this stuff didn't. Link is another one. It's similar to BTC. Looks like it's trying to cancel its head and shoulders. Now, that isn't to say that this wasn't there, or this has a low hit rate, or this is never bearish. I wouldn't go that far. I would just say this time it didn't break down. That's all I would say. It doesn't mean these patterns don't work. It's just sometimes they don't happen, That's it. Gala? My question, in the back of my mind, it's always like, where do people find this stuff, Not that Gala is an unknown coin or anything, but it really goes back to the technicals, because if you understand, like, okay, the higher cap coins are double bottoming, at least the low time frame is double bottoming, right? I really have nothing new to say here. It's the same. It's really the same as BTC. It looks just like ETH does. It's breaking out of the low time frames. The low time frame move is like 50.050. High time frames, this is a mess, right? At least right now. What is this? I don't know. This looks like nothing. No clue. This goes back to, sorry. This goes back to entry, time horizon, blah, 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 blah. I would literally, here's what I would do. Here's what I would do, Teleport Labs. You ready? This is not financial advice. Here's what I would do. I would do nothing. I would probably double, triple, quadruple my position and do nothing for the entire year. Come back in December and see if this is at 22 cents. That's what I would do. Especially if you are, not saying this is you, Teleport Labs, but if you've got less trading capital, it doesn't mean you have to swing for the fences, but I think you have to give charts a chance to work out. This goes back to like the hood position. I like taking swings at things when they have bottomed for a considerable amount of time. So in Legacy, that's like 2 years. And I didn't know hood was going to quadruple, right? But things tend to do really well after they've bottomed for a long time. So when I'm looking at this Gala chart, zooming way out as far as you can, and it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter that it's Gala. It just matters that it's done nothing for a very long time. Like, realistically, could the market cap ever get to 22.22? I don't know. Right? I don't care. I just don't care. But if I'm holding anything for the year and I want to load up on leverage, beta, I think alts are going to do well, blah, blah, blah. This is the type of stuff you have to find and take seriously, because it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter that it's GameFi or whatever. I don't know. As long as they aren't dumping the token on you, this has a chance to do well. That's it, So this is the type of thing where you buy it and you hold it and you see what happens. It's done nothing for 3 years. You size it up appropriately to something you can stomach volatility wise, and you just let it do its thing. Because there might be a day, there might be a month where you get surprised and something like this does well. It was one of the reasons why, if we go back to this, where is it at? Is it this one? The other GameFi stuff, in a similar vein, if I want to do my like Grand Slam portfolio, like just absolutely shoot for infinity type stuff, it would be looking for anything that looked like Gala. That includes AXS, Mana, Filecoin, Flow, Sand. I don't care what these are. These all happen to be in the same sector. There's no way all of these are going to quote unquote work out in 2025. All of these have issues with market cap. But for me, as a breakout trend trader, this is the type of stuff I love. HBAR was also on this list. That one worked out. That one worked out first. Okay. Why did HBAR work? Well, it had some fundamental news that I can't talk about specifically because I'm involved, but it worked out. Okay. It had this sideways mess for years, down for years. That's it. Okay. That idea is over. This may continue to do well. Chart looks fine. But that's not the type of setup we're talking about here. We're talking about, I'll just add Gala to this because why not? We're talking about high time frame stuff that has gone nowhere and is listed. That's all you need to be. You need to be a warm body, not delisted, and that's it. So yeah, I wouldn't even think about the position. Like, this is a time thing. This isn't a price thing. You have to give it time for the liquidity, the sector, the mania, the whatever, right, to work its way through the ecosystem to get to this type of stuff. But if I'm putting together a long-term alt portfolio, it's going to be this junk. It may work out, it may not. It's not hot, it's not sexy, it's not Filecoin, okay? It's not Filecoin, but there may be a time this year where this stuff does well, for sure. And I just like the chart. I don't even care about what it is. That's kind of it. Can you do WorldCoin? Yeah. Some things I just don't buy, like Zcash, BCH, BSV. I'd put WorldCoin in that category. I just don't need to be. I don't need to be a part of that nonsense. We don't need to. I don't like the whole scanning of the eyeballs thing. Is it on Kraken? I don't actually know. No, it's not. Okay. Let me save that. WorldCoin. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? You can see it's kind of like that TLT idea where it was down only for a long time. Tried to break out. It had this triple bottom type thing going and then gave it all back. I don't know. You know, this stuff for me, if I'm trading this far down the market cap or these type of things, I'm just giving this time. I don't even care. Like, if it goes to zero, it goes to zero, but that's just me. This goes back to, I'm not saying this is you, Ryan, but people like looking for that scratch off lottery ticket. They're looking for whatever they're looking for on this stuff versus just DCAing high caps and doing nothing. But you got to give this time to do well. It doesn't look trend bullish. I don't see anything immediately that says this looks like it's ready to go. But you know, if you like the story or whatever, then you just wait. But it's not. If we go on like the weekly, you know, we compare this to any of that other junk I was pulling up. It's none of that stuff. It's not bottomed in a multi-year fashion. It's just chopping around. So it's not for me until the cloud likes it again. One thing, just as an example, other than Hood, I talked about EVAV a few times. Today it's up 36%. This is another classic example of, if we zoom way out, something that was literally just down only. This is the leveraged EV ETF. Down only for a year and a half, 2 years. Bottoms 4 or 6 months. This is the type of setup trade chart that I like, for all the same reasons. It doesn't really matter what it is. It probably helps that there's some fundamental reasons why this is doing well. But ultimately, It's the chart that's telling me to take the trade, to make the trade. Another example in the same family would be Rivian. A lot of people talking about this one today. I don't know if this goes to 60, if this goes to 100. I don't think it's as primed as Hood was per se. But again, this this company could go bankrupt. I don't know. But it's been down only since inception. I don't even know if they make cars that work. Okay, I know they do, but you know what I mean. You get my point. Fundamentally, this might not make sense, but on technicals, it looks like a breakout. Looks like an inverted head and shoulders. Looks like an attempt at a diagonal multi-year resistance breach to me. So sure. Lucid, another one. And is this all just a sign of risk on mania? Maybe, but who cares? We're here for it, baby. We're here for it. Lucid down for 3 years. Down, what is the percentage is this? Down 96%. Still down 94% from 2021. This is the type of thing that if it bottoms, if it breaks above the cloud, whatever, like, yeah, I'll take a stab. Why not? You know, it's literally been almost zeroed out. Why not? I would rather trade this than like Carvana. Okay. Carvana is the opposite. Carvana is up 5,000%. Okay. It's just not for me. It's just, I don't care if Hindenburg's shorting it. I don't care who's longing it. It just doesn't matter. The move happened, right? The train left the station. It's over. It's done. I feel the same about Hood. The chart looks okay, but when people are asking me, like, what do I think about Hood? You know, where were they in 2023 when I was talking about Hood? It's like most of that move to me is done. It doesn't mean Hood can't continue to do well. So when we're comparing and contrasting like Carvana versus Gala, Gala, I have no clue if this goes anywhere, but charts that look like this look really good. If I'm gonna try to make a home run on something like what would this be? Not a 10x, but like a 5x. I don't know. We'll call it like a 300% move. Stuff that looks like this, I like. Then now that strategy is way different than trading majors to me. Majors, you can rely on trend in the cloud and blah, blah, blah. All that other stuff. It's just a different mindset. It's a different grind set, chat, you know? It's a different grind set. Yeah, Pepe boy, I don't care. Zcash is fundamentally worthless. It should have been an ERC20, and that's that. Sorry. That's that. That's all I have to say about that one. I don't care if it's up 130% or not in a year. Someone was asking about, Algo? I think they, virtual? So here's Algo. Algo, I said yesterday, to me, had one of the better cases for a double bottom. They all, all the alts kind of looked double bottom-y, at least trying to. I liked that it was above the 4-hour cloud. That's about it. It looks fine, it looks fine to me. Virtual, that's one of the AI, yeah. I don't know what exchange that's even on. Crypto.com, sure. Similar to Carvana, right? It's up 16,000% in 3 months. Okay. For me, I just don't care, right? You lost me. I pull out this chart, you lost me. You lost me because I did not get on the train. The train is gone. The train is in Mississippi, Tallahassee, wherever. The train is so far off of reality. It's on a whole nother timeline for me, So what do I do here with this? I sell it, I avoid it, I leave it alone. This might have another 10x in it from here. I don't know, but like the move is over in my mind. Like the tradable move, I'll put it like this. The tradable move is over for me. It's just done. If we go to like the 4-hour, like it looks okay. It looks like it's trending in a bullish fashion. But this is the problem with seeing stuff after the fact, right? You know, why weren't you buying? Not you who's asking me, just generally, like me. Why wasn't I buying this in October? Well, I didn't even know it existed. Okay, so there's that. There's the whole like AI narrative that certainly helped this sort of thing. What else? I don't know. I missed it, right? I'm not going to chase this. I just have nothing else to say. I don't know. That's all I got on that one. But because it's up so quickly, I would massively avoid stuff like this. I don't think it's got a rising wedge. Maybe it's just more like a rising channel. It's kind of like the Palantir stuff. You know, Palantir was up 300% last year. It's not like I'm allergic to things that are doing well. It's just, you got to pick your battles, right? 300%, 350% last year. Is it bullish? Sure. Does it look like a trade that I want to get into here? No, it doesn't. I probably said the same thing at 35, right? I'd have to go back. I know we were talking about, I might have it somewhere. We were talking about a channel. Is it down here? Forget where I had it. At some point we were talking about a channel, but this thing just went straight parabolic, right? Straight parabolic. You can see just literally to infinity. Does that mean short it? No, it just doesn't mean anything. It just means I missed it flat out, right? So we're about here on virtual to me. we're at 80 on Palantir. That's why I like stuff like this. Not that I like every piece of junk that has gone to zero, like Zoom. Okay, like, yeah, that looks like a better opportunity for a trend to play out. PayPal's another one, same idea. It doesn't really matter what the company is. It helps that it's a fintech, helps that fintechs have done well. Figs, another one, just down in the dumps, right? For a long, long time. You can draw a diagonal on that, set an alert, and away you go. Newegg, another one, right? I don't think it's ready yet, but it's down a lot. The multi-year downtrend. So, you know, back to virtual. Would I touch this for the 50th time? No, I wouldn't. I would leave that one alone. But that's just me. Like, I like ETH way better than this. I like miners better than this. Kexi? What is this? How do people find this? Trevor, how did you find this? Is it even on TradingView? I don't even know if this is even it. I have no idea. Like, this is, you know, scratch off lottery tickets. This is like, what's the word? Like contraband scratch off lottery tickets. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I have no idea. I have no power here, right? It's a chart. I got nothing for you. Let me just read chat. Someone was asking about Tesla. Tesla's kind of the same to me in that 270 was the level. So what do you do with it here? Buy, sell, or hold? If you had to do one thing, any of that stuff, I would hold or sell because it hit the target of the consolidation. Now there's an ultra high time frame 4-year idea where this thing could go to like 1,000. So it depends. Depends if you want to hold for that. If Elon and Orange Man get into a spat, then that may change the direction of this chart. So you got to keep that in mind. But the TA worked. It broke out of the multi-month inverted head and shoulders and it hit the target. It just so happened that we had November 5th and we had some fundamental catalyst, but the level was 270. So what do you do with it here? I don't think you do anything if you haven't already done something, personally. It captures why no coiners hate crypto for Filecoin. Yeah, I agree. It's just funny that people focus on that. They either focus on that or they focus on like volatility of whatever, or they focus like the goalposts keep changing. You know, it's like BTC is not good enough because we have Filecoin. BTC is not good enough because we had ICOs. BTC is not good enough because blah 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 blah. Right? It's kind of like whataboutism or just moving the goalpost. Yeah, FSR, exactly. What else we got? What else? Just reading chat. You start hating on something and then people ask you questions about it. I just don't know why bother with this chart. That's the question. If you're just looking at the chart, I'll say it like this. If you know nothing about anything, sure, right? If this can break whatever level this is on ZBTC, go for it. If I had an algo that said find every chart that looks like this, or Figs, or Zoom, or EVAV, or whatever, Zcash BTC would meet the criteria for that algorithm. Josh GPT would pick this up and it would say, this is a trade that we could take. Now, I would override it because it's Zeke BTC, but nevertheless, the Josh GPT algorithm would say, this looks good with a measured move to here. The cloud is blah, 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 right? The cloud is getting bullish, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Does it mean Zcash is like an investment? No. It more or less means things have changed for alts, right? Things have changed for risk assets or crypto or whatever. That's why stuff like this starts to do better. And or it's just a relative value argument where people are up a considerable amount on BTC and they're just looking for something else to do. Fine. Okay. But I will agree with you. Josh GPT says there could be a trade here. INJ asks, guess who? Our INJ boy. And this is the same thing. I mean, I told Gosp this last year. Low time frames, it looks like everything else. Adam and Eve, double bottom, whatever, right? Sure. It looks fine. You can always measure this. You can say, we think it's going to 30 or 28, whatever. Fine. I'm guessing that's not why Gosp is asking about INJ. But my issue with INJ, same thing with like Caspa. It's up thousands of %. What is there to do? I don't think INJ is actually up. Is it still up 1,000%? So it was up 3,000% in 2023. I don't know. If you want to hold through that, go for it. It's not like I can't do well. It's just, it feels like I missed the train on this. If I'm looking at alts as a group and I see one alt that's up 3,000% and one alt that's been flat for 3 years, I'm just going to gravitate towards the one that's done nothing for 3 years. That's just me. That doesn't mean this won't outperform Gala, which it probably will. I don't know. But it's just, I can't take the trade here. It looks okay. If I was holding Filecoin already, if I was holding anything that has done nothing, still. So you're eating opportunity cost, right? But if the chart still looks decent, which to me, this does, on USD, Filecoin, similar to Gala, same idea. Down for years, flat for years. This could be the year. I don't know. You could be eating more opportunity cost through 2025 if this does nothing. This could do nothing until 2026. I don't know. But if this was in my like hold for home run grand slam pile, I wouldn't care. I would be waiting for 15 to 20. Now, if you've been holding this since 100, then, maybe read the room a little bit, but it's just opportunity cost, right? You've got the risk-free rate as your benchmark, which is the 10-year yield. You've got the 2-year yield. You've got short-term treasuries. Those are all options. That's like 5%. We'll call it roughly four and a quarter. We'll call it 4.25 on the year. If you think Filecoin can beat 4.25, then you probably still like it. If you think Filecoin can beat whatever you think the S&P can get, you probably still like it. If you think Filecoin can beat BTC, you still like it, but is that possible? I don't know. Theoretically, anything's possible. If we pull up the chart, not looking super hot, right? Not looking super hot from Filecoin against BTC. And that's just BTC. You can pull up Sol, you can pull up whatever you want. So it's just, this is the opportunity cost, right? The opportunity cost is, can this thing, what are we doing? Filecoin LSE, is that right? No. That might be the wrong Filecoin. Hold on. All right, so it looks, that's Sol. Anyway, the point is, when you're doing this relative value game, this is your opportunity cost, right? Just sitting in something that has a history of success versus whatever Filecoin has done, If it was a fresh position here on the USD pair, I'd probably like it a lot more than something you've sat in for multiple years and it's done nothing. But that's up to you. I don't know. Yeah, and that's the problem, as KV is saying. It's already, the market caps of some of these things are already infinity, effectively. So theoretically, it's going to be harder for those things to continue to do well. So what you're not seeing is the market cap of Filecoin on that chart. ETC asks Trevor on X. Sure. ETC for me is kind of in like the BCHBSV file. Like fundamentally, it has no reason to actually exist or be listed. I don't think the devs are doing anything with this. I could be way off base, right? But fundamentally, you have to be careful because it doesn't really have a reason to do anything. So there's that. Technicals do have kind of this multi-week thing, right? As we get deeper into 2025, I like it more, but you got to keep in mind opportunity cost. To me, this kind of looks like LTC. This looks like XLM before it broke out. It kind of goes back to like what are you doing with other capital, or what have you done with other capital? If you hit like crazy winners in 2024 and you want to take like a spec position in stuff like this, I don't hate it. But if you've got like fresh capital that you're 2-week DCAing, I wouldn't do it in ETC. That's just me. RC Cole, the bearish goggles are fully fastened. They're fully stapled to my forehead still. As I said in the open, just because we're running up on a couple days here doesn't mean the downside risk isn't gone. It's definitely still there. Downside risk here is 80. It's just, we talk about trade charts every day. Everybody's looking at everything every day. The axe murderer is still out there, RC Cole. Will the police catch the axe murderer? I don't know. Will we close above 100 and hold there? I don't know. Maybe. Nothing is about absolutes. It's just probabilities and how you want to trade around that. So yeah, I'm bearish because of this. If the chart didn't look like this, I wouldn't be as bearish. But we've bounced, what is this, 6% from 92? If we get back to 92 and we don't bounce, are you going to say being bearish was wrong? I don't know. It doesn't, it just time frame, time horizon, right? It just matters how you trade this. That's all it really matters. SPX 6900. I don't see a reason to chart that. Sorry. LRC. Asks Golshi. And then we'll do miners and then we'll call it. Yeah, anything, again, this goes back to technicals. One of the reasons why technicals work and are so effective is it just doesn't matter what this is. It matters what it looks like. It doesn't matter what it is. Now, do I know that this is going to do well? I have no idea. But when I pull this up, it looks like every other chart. It's got, losing my voice. It's got this like Adam and Eve double bottomy ascending triangle. Like it's got all that stuff. None of it's bearish. So sure. So low time frames look fine. High time frames are just a mess. Giant mess on this one. Is there anything on the weekly? This kind of looks like all that other junk I was pulling up, like Gala and Sand, and the TIA BTC chart kind of looks similar. You've got like shades of a mega inverted head and shoulders. It's kind of in this expanding, broadening wedge. As a breakout person, people are giving me shit on Twitter about this. As a breakout trader, I like prices up here. I like prices in this example at 034. I would not buy this at 09. That's me. Okay. I don't like buying weakness. I like buying strength. I don't need to be the first one on the train. I don't need to be there when the doors open. I don't need to be there when they're doing maintenance on the train and you're waiting for 3 hours. I just don't need to be there. That's opportunity cost. Time is money, folks. Time is money. I want to be there a few minutes before the train leaves. The train is probably mostly full when I get there. Okay, that's perfectly fine. But I know that the train is working and ready to leave the station. That is me up here. So that's where I would like this more on higher time frames. All right, let's talk about miners and mstr real quick. Someone's asking about SMLR. This is kind of one of those, anything that isn't mstr that's adopting a BTC treasury. If you're bullish BTC, I just think you hold this and you come back to it in December. Unless you're trading options on this or something. Trend here is zeroed out. It's momentumless. It hit the target. It's super volatile. It's all over the place. I don't really have anything to say. It looks okay. That's it. MSTR, you can probably get away with trading on lower time frames. Still looks like junk to me. I don't care that it's up what it's up today. If we go back to cloud. So daily cloud MSTR, it's up a bunch. Great. You're getting mixed signals in the cloud, so it's automatically just a no, do not touch. This is not a chart for you type situation for me. I think best case on lower time frames, maybe you get some sort of inverted head and shoulders here, right shoulder yet to be formed around a neckline of around 357. But I don't care if this goes to infinity from here. My system says do not touch this. Until this cloud is fully bullish again, it's not for me. And it's certainly not bullish on the daily. You can probably cheat this on the 4 hour because it has moved extremely quickly. This is outside of any fundamental junk with FASB or the S&P or whatever else, right? I don't even care. This is not what we're talking about here. I don't trade on that personally. Not that you can't, I just don't. So technicals here for MSTR look bearish for the most part on the daily and the 4 hour, but you know what you're looking for. You're looking for a full reset of the 4 hour cloud for me. That's what I would like to see. Miners across the board to me are just super, super, super ranging, volatile. They're not for me because they don't trend well on high time frames. What we've had since 2023 is up chop. Kind of nonsensical, at least recently, nonsensical up chop. Fees are down on the chain. Hash rate is way up. So these miners are making less. This is basically a leveraged bet on BTC price. Maybe it's a bet on some M&A in the sector. This is WGMI. This is the mining ETF. Trend in a vacuum. There is none, right? It's zeroed out. It's reset. You're at the midpoint of the pitchfork. That's about it. Some of these look better or worse than others. Cores also zeroing out. It's just not for me. I don't know how else to say it. I like this at 11, and it hit the target on the head and shoulder, inverted head and shoulders, and that was it. Made a head and shoulders, broke down. Okay, fine, great. I don't have anything else to really say on low time frames. To me, that just needs to reset. On the daily, Wolf is at the bottom of the pitchfork. It's kind of like out of the bounds of the bottom of the pitchfork. Just super super turbo chop. I got nothing. I'll put it like this. There's no reason for me trading the cloud to be in this. Same thing with CleanSpark. You know, anybody talking about bullish anything miners this year is not looking at technicals, and that's fine. But technicals are not telling you that these charts look good. They just aren't. They're just not. IREN daily, I got nothing. Just a massive channel. We'll get rid of all this. Massive chop, massive channel. That's all I got on that one. Marathon, just a history of underperformance, a history of doing nothing. Why? I don't see in this reason to ever touch this thing. I like it better above 25, but here, not for me. Riot, lots of chop. And as we go down this list, none of these look better. They don't look like they have momentum. They just look like chop. Bitfarms never broke out. We can delete all this. Just looks sad. You know, Cypher looks okay. Delete that. I don't know. Just nothing. You know, what is this? Nothing. It's just a huge, huge, huge chop. If you're trading lower time frames, then we'll delete this too. Then maybe it's for you. I don't know. For me, it's just not for me. It's just way too choppy. Way too choppy. Hut looks okay. At least it's trending higher. Hive has been flat since 2022. Not for me. And that's pretty much it. So, I don't know. It's just like, why? Just, if you like leverage, just trade leverage. If you like something else that's beta to BTC, just trade that. I was pulling up like ETH. If we do, what do we want to do? Like ETH divided by IREN, kind of like an ETH BTC analog. This doesn't really tell you much either. I don't know. I got nothing. It's just the miners aren't giving me vibes of directionality. Just huge chop both directions. That has over time gone up. That's about it. Thriving 25. That's right. Are my cloud settings different on mstr? 1852, 104.26. So what I use for legacy. I think that's all I got for today. Losing my voice. Thanks for hanging out. If you want to see anything that I didn't mention, let me know in the comments. Give me a like, dislike, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And we'll talk on Sunday for Setup Sunday. Have a good weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.